Sorry, go.
I stand by that, Bibo. I stand by it.
He was not wooden, he was wood. He was fucking Nara wood, man.
God damn it.
All right, welcome back to BetaBeard, episode number 4. And I'm super proud to say that because, when we've talked about, doing this thing, a lot of the times when us lesser folk try to start a YouTube channel or endeavor or whatever, we try at first and then give up when we don't see immediate success. But we are pressing on.
Yeah,
Doesn't matter. We're just going to keep doing this because it's fun.
Yeah.
And likewise, Dean, same story. And because we enjoy each other's company and because we want to share all our geekitude with the world. So as always, I am Bibo Reyes. I'm joined by Dean Daniel Rosen, who absolutely killed it last week. So I'm very pressured at the moment for this episode. And George Schulze, who defends people who want to let seasons build and binge them from spoilers. I just wanted to bring that up from episode 2 with George's super place, like ranting.
I stand by that, people. I stand by it.
That voice. We need to patent that voice. Okay. Yeah. How are you guys? Have you guys, you know what, George, in episode 2, you mentioned that cinemas are opening up and I'm so excited. Mm-hmm. And, because I realized over the pandemic that my favorite thing to do in the world, this might sound kind of sad, my favorite thing to do in the world is to go to the movies and watch a movie. You guys know my favorite cinema in the world is the IMAX in the Philippines. Mm-hmm. Is the IMAX in Mall of Asia. Yeah. And like I even like have the one seat that I sit in it. Sit in it all the time, no matter what. Nobody can take that seat but me if I'm watching with friends. So I just miss it so much.
Yeah.
And I was wondering how you guys, because I'm so bad about watching movies now, I realized, like, I haven't seen Dune yet. I haven't seen No Time to Die yet. Yeah. Just because it doesn't have that appeal for me of, like, buying a ticket, going, buying my Jamba Juice, walking to the cinema, and it's just, I just watch it on demand. And I'm so bad about getting to stuff at home. I just procrastinated on it for some reason. And I just miss it so much. How are you guys doing with not being able to go to the cinema?
Yeah, I feel you, man. Like I was talking to George about this yesterday, actually, where I have one of those telltale signs of anxiety, which is that I prefer to watch, after a hard day's work, when you want to relax, I don't watch anything new. I watch something that I've seen before because it doesn't challenge me, you know what I mean? So for the past, like, however, many months, for the past 2 years, most of what I've been watching is stuff I already loved because, I didn't want to add to my anxiety. I didn't want to add to, any more tension to my life. So I've been really behind. Haven't seen Shang-Chi yet. Haven't seen, I haven't seen No Time to Die yet as well. You guys have been recommending shows to me. My God, Bibo, last year you recommended to me Watchmen. Still haven't gotten around to that.
Neither have I. Neither have I. Neither have I.
I absolutely do. I have to.
But that makes so much sense because, like, actually going out to see something new puts you in that mode of like, okay, I'm prepared to absorb new media. Yeah. As opposed to like I'm just at home and I'm in my bubble and in my comfort zone and I don't want to like, Yeah. But yeah, I all that to say I get what you mean by that.
How about you,
Georgie?
George?
Like right, George will come at me with his takes a lot after seeing a new movie and stuff and sometimes it's like I fucking loved it, but sometimes it's not so much. So,
I always have like thoughts. But one of the things I'm missing the most, this is gonna sound so surprising and weird, but it's the peace knowing that you've shown up early enough to not have to line up right before the movie and just being able to have your pick of what snack you want to bring into the movie. Like that for me is like knowing I came early enough to be like, oh, right, okay, cool. I can plan out when I'm going to get my popcorn. I'm not going to, one of my biggest pet peeves, and I think Bibo and I have had this discussion way too much, and it draws back to like theater and just our instinctual training and placement. And it's my biggest pet peeve is when you think you can pull off just showing up right before the movie starts, and then when the movie's already about to start 3 minutes in, you're like, what do you want to eat? And it's like, if you wanted to eat, we should have come earlier because like, you know, like why are you lining up now? You're not gonna catch the opening scene. Like, and then when they're like, no, it's fine, I'll just miss it, I'll watch it later, like the opening scene, and it's like, but the opening scene.
I know, it's so important. It sets the tone.
It does. It's like, but from the filmmaking perspective, it's
tells you what movie you're watching.
Don't ask me questions later.
Yeah, and Mara, and oh my god, I feel like this is just like, Mara's like the most amazing girlfriend, and girls, for those of you watching, you know, we still have two amazingly handsome single men here who are just ripe for the amazing like fantasies that you want to have with these bearded beta boys.
Whoa.
Well, ripe for
let's
like,
not get into stuff that a beard sensor can't fix for this episode.
My geek dreams. No, but yeah, with Mia, I love how I just draw on all these stories because I'm lucky enough to have an amazing relationship. And Mara, as many as I can't count the number of things that are amazing about it. One of the things that's not so amazing is that she sometimes, you know, when you live closer to school, you're more likely to be late. That is Mara with the movies. We live quite close to one of the cinemas we frequent, and because of that, she likes to leave 10 minutes before the screen time.
It's that common like issue, like right when you're in college, it's the dormers who are always late to class, not the people who have to make an actual commute to go to school.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just like 30 minutes. I'm like walking ahead. And there have been times when I'm there ready with my food, and she shows up, and I'm like waiting at the front, with her ticket, like, hey, let's go in, and I have my food, and she's like, what'd you get me? And I was like, nothing. like that's for people who come early, like, you know. So that, I think that's one of the things that I really miss, just that dance, dance, the food dance, the snack
definitely.
Dance. There's nothing quite about it. And
talking, you know, the things we miss, I do miss like the post movie experience of just like walking out and having your takes. What I don't miss though is when those experiences don't pan out.
Yeah, or line up.
You didn't have a good time. We've talked about this movie, but like I have to say, I felt pretty deflated after seeing Batman v Superman.
Yeah,
the first time, because like I was like, did not love it as much as Man of Steel, and Man of Steel is one of my favorites.
Yep.
Favorite movies. Period. Not even just superhero movies. But
after
watching Batman v Superman, I was like, but that's weird. Like we were talking about movies last week, but like. If I see Batman v Superman on HBO, I'll probably be like, I'll check out a couple of scenes.
Yeah.
Even though it's, you know, I didn't super love it. And I think that's a good place to come from for this week, because like last week we talked about our favorites, and if we're gonna talk about a movie that gets shit on, a good amount, it's Batman v Superman.
Yeah, that's why there's like the watch until Martha clause. Like, watch until
only until
Martha, and then and then you're like
Martha credits.
Did you guys know that like that was one of the factoids that I would tell anyone who would listen for years before Batman v Superman came out? It's that both their moms are named Martha.
Oh my god, you must have been.
When it happened, I was so validated. I was like, told you guys.
Oh my gosh.
You know,
that must have been so like satisfying.
It's just funny because on that note of Batman v Superman, like when these big moments happen in these movies that are kind of draw some popularity, especially in like meme culture or whatever you're on. Like, I happen to go on 9gag a lot at that time. Like, it shows my age, but you know, I mean. I always have these ideas of, you know, it would be a funny cartoon comic, and I always, for some reason, and Bibo, if you want to animate this for me for my birthday one day, not animate, but draw it out in a comic sequence, I always just thought it would be funny, and I'm like when is Batman v Superman? Like, I'm like almost 5-6 years too late. But I just thought it would be so funny to see a reenactment of that, but like Wolverine and Deadpool, and like Wolverine's choking Deadpool out, and then Deadpool tries saying Martha, and Wolverine's like, "What the fuck are you talking about?" And then Deadpool's like, it just, and then I don't know, it just like cuts his head off or something. I don't know. I thought that would be a funny comic to make. Yeah. Like right after Batman v Superman, I thought that would be pretty funny. So Bibo, if you want to draw that for me one of these days,
well, we'll see.
Bibo's drawings, like I'm going to use this opportunity and then Bibo's going to like put his drawings by.
I'm so edit. Not.
Just
I'm
like
absolutely not.
Showcase. No, Bibo's an amazing artist.
Oh man, yeah,
amazing artist.
Absolutely.
Yeah, really
dude, I appreciate that. But I did want to mention at some point on this podcast that's one of the things that when you have your come to Jesus moments of like, I am never going to be as good as like for my own standards.
Yeah.
Which is why like I've kind of let go of that side of me, unless I can apply it to something that I'm undertaking, like this podcast or whatever. Right.
Yeah.
But yeah, yeah. Anyway, speaking of movies, you know what? Let's get into it. What are your? Because like, how do we even? How like on Facebook, on Twitter, everyone aside from the spoilers, which we've already discussed, everyone just has their takes. Everyone just has their hot takes and their takeaways from the stuff that they watch. And we're not immune to that, right?
Yeah,
we talked about the things we love. But there are things we don't love. And like, sometimes I just feel very, it's just, I remember when The Dark Knight Rises came out and people were loving the crap out of it. And I was like, didn't like it.
Yeah.
Did not like it. Love the trilogy. Love Batman Begins, one of my favorite movies.
Yeah.
Love The Dark Knight, my favorite movie.
Yeah.
But Dark Knight Rises, not even close. So, like, I was curious. What are the Dean?
I was gonna say that a lot of people actually share that sentiment with you. Well, me included. I still say and maintain that it is a good movie generally, but it definitely didn't. I think that generally the consensus, I don't know, from what I've seen now, is that it didn't really hit the standards of the rest of the trilogy.
Totally, yeah.
Yeah. So I think
arguments
you're
here.
not alone. Yeah, you're
no
not
arguments
alone
here. No, I'm with you guys. Right. So this isn't really a disagreement episode then. I mean,
yeah.
So far, I mean, Bibo tried to give one, and here we are.
But
like,
I mean, like at the time, like when it came out, there was like this wave of like, Nolan, thank you for this gift to the Batman mythos.
It's so funny.
Nolan,
I saw an interview with Chris Nolan where the interviewer said. The interviewer was like, "This is your best work," and his eyes said something. He didn't have to say anything, but his eyes were like, "Are you serious?" I can't remember who was. Yeah, I gotta
find that.
I think one of the curses of being an actor, and Dean, in your case, it goes farther than that, because Dean, I know we haven't gone full detail about the other things we do, but Dean is also a director, and his father's cinematographer, director, so he's in that world. But one of the curses is that you're watching it from that lens, right? You're not just looking at the movie as a normal moviegoer, but you're looking at the actors, beats, choices. You can't help but look at it in that. And when I think of Dark Knight Rises, I think of Beard's death. I was watching that. As I watched it, I was like, none of y'all saw that? Like, everyone's like, oh. And I was like, oh. Man, like, what?
It was like
what?
It's like that.
And last episode we talked about my love for Nightwing and how Nolan just threw all the Robins in one, and I was like, Nolan, don't do that, buddy.
No, do that, sir.
Don't make all the Robins one Robin and just turn all their, don't do that, or don't Bearding do that, like
don't Bearding do that.
Like, what the beard, man?
Yeah. But do you guys have what are the experiences that stand out to you where, because I'm sure it's happened where something comes out and everyone seems to love it and you just feel like you don't want to say anything because
absolutely.
You just don't.
Oh my god.
I have mine.
Go, George. Please enlighten me.
I'm kind of worried about this because, like, okay, I just need to give some context. I don't want it to be misconstrued. My reasoning for it is sound. This is purely from a filmmaking perspective and expectations and stuff. But we'll just have it, and I'm gonna assume that the camera is centered on me right now, so I'm just gonna go into it. My unpopular movie opinion is. Thanks for that. This is my. The world is about to. I'm about to disagree with the world. Light. My unpopular movie opinion, and I'm gonna defend it.
Yeah.
Black Panther. I thought it was pretty bad.
Wow!
As a movie, yeah, I really didn't like Black Panther.
People just leaves.
Talk about. Am I still red?
I wasn't expecting that. I really wasn't. Yeah, you're still red.
What about like Bibo's just green with envy? No. Okay.
Bibo
all right.
just
And
my job.
Here's my reasoning for it. Okay.
Okay.
What I love about Black Panther. All right. Let's start there. The King, Chadwick Boseman. What a legend, right? Like, I mean, talk about one of the greatest influential figures of recent time, especially in the Black community, and what he was doing. Like, what a pioneer, especially for bringing that world, into a wider scope, right? And then you look at the soundtrack. Wow, so well curated, so well thought through. And then you look at the respect that it paid in terms of the fashion, the outfits, all of these things coming together. Also, you look at like just what it's accomplished in terms of like, box office and what it brought and what it meant.
Yeah.
I am not against. I am with you all in there. Like, right. Like, I think like I respect where it's due. Black Panther, what it's done and what it is. Mm-hmm. Where I'm coming from as like why I didn't like it, especially after I watched it, was number one, I just thought that as like, if what I was expecting coming in, maybe this is my fault, I was expecting the action to be very Russo Brothers-esque. So I was thinking that the Black Panther combat, the weight of his movement would feel like Civil War, which I felt like, my God, in Civil War, Black Panther, the way he moved was mind-blowing for me. I was just the chase scene with the cars, the way, oh my God, Civil War,
fantastic.
Black
The
Panther.
Russos, sorry, real quick, George, like the Russos treat action and fight scenes like music.
Yeah.
There's such a rhythm to everything they do.
Absolutely.
Sorry,
and no, rhythm, weight, just the way it comes out on screen, the way it's shot, just, that's what I was expecting for Black Panther. And then instead we got like overly animated elephants that look kind of strange. And you know what I mean? and then you have this like weird scene into the 3D, which is so unnecessary, the 3D like train and you know, I mean, just I'll give Black Panther all the love of where I feel like it deserves it, but do I think it's like a top level MCU film for that standard? No way. Do I think it's a film that deserves like that? Like, is this in the 90 range, the 90% Rotten Tomatoes range of like that you expect from the original Iron Man, from Thor Ragnarok, for me, Guardians of the Galaxy? Is it on that echelon of like quality Marvel film? Sorry,
they got
I think
two walkouts from Bibo.
I think Bibo wants me to have this. Is it like, no? I don't think it's there. This is just my personal opinion. But again, I stand by my case. This is just in terms of what it is as a movie. But yeah, let's Killmonger, awesome movie. You know, it's good. It's a good movie. I'm not saying it's not a good movie. I'm just saying that if I was to place my voice, it's not a movie that lives within the same world. No, it's not a movie that lives within the same world for me as those, that next level. Like, is it like Civil War, Endgame, Infinity War, Iron Man 1, Guardians? No, it's not in that echelon. I'm just saying.
Interesting.
That's me.
That's weird. You know what's weird is I agree with all your negatives for it. I just don't agree with the final assessment, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Maybe that just means I like the pros a lot more than you do. And that's not, I'm not saying like you're a bad person for not liking all those good things, but like, I think they just affect me more. If I were to choose a favorite MCU villain, it would be Killmonger.
Killmonger is an
no, he was a great villain, and Michael B. Jordan
barring
was
Thanos.
amazing.
But I mean favorite, the straight up favorite. Like that's my answer is Killmonger. His music, all that stuff. Njidaka, son of Njobu, all that stuff. I don't know what it is about Black Panther that just spoke to me so much.
Mm-hmm. The way he was built up as well was just so.
I think I've told George the story. I don't know. I haven't told you though, Dean, for sure.
Yeah.
When I watched Black Panther for the first time at the cinema, was right after my callback for Dr. Palmer and Waitress.
Wow.
So, and I got a message from Direct Bobby that night.
Really?
And I didn't open it.
Well, how am I going to compete with that, dude? That's why you're walking off.
Because I was afraid that it might. I saw like the first part of it. It said like, "Hey Beebs, like good job, yada yada yada." But I was afraid that if I clicked it, the rest would say, "But I'll tell you now that I'm not getting you for it because reasons." I was so scared of that message, so I left it. Watched Black Panther, and the whole time watching Chadwick Boseman and freaking Michael B. Jordan just killing it as leading men. I was like, I can do that. I can fucking do that. So maybe that informed my love for that movie.
I understand now why you walked off, but what I don't understand is how your favorite villain of all the MCU, barring Thanos, is Killmonger, and not my favorite. Whiplash. No, I'm just I'm just
Whiplash. Whiplash.
My
just like it's like the Hobbits, just like that.
Real quick, why did he know? Why did he know so far ahead that Tony was going to race that he actually disguised himself as a crew member?
Or
whatever.
Ridiculous.
Right?
I mean, there's a lot of things.
I have no clue. There's a lot of things about Iron Man 2. But I'm not saying Black Panther belongs with Iron Man 2. I'm not saying that. It's quite high up there. I'd even say it's like, it's in the back end of after the top 10, you know? But it's not in my top 10.
That's definitely where we disagree. It's definitely in my top 10.
I'm sure about that, but it's just not in my top 10. And that just comes down to taste. But I know how much. This is why it's an unpopular opinion.
remember.
Yeah, absolutely.
I remember when we were shitting on that final CGI fight scene between the cousins at the end, and that was just terrible.
Yeah, that was.
It's those things, and I agree. And it's some of the worst action in the MCU. I will definitely. Like get on board with you.
I think that was my issue. If I had come in expecting that like at that level of action, if I wasn't expecting Civil War action, I think I would have had a much better experience going in. But I expected it to come right off Civil War and to take that style, and I was so looking for that, and that's on me. And I think that is my attachment to why I really didn't enjoy the movie as much, because when it came down to it, I was like, I know what the budget for this is, and we know what it made. And I like, but yeah, I'm not taking away from the performances. God damn, like if like Wakanda was awesome, like all the performances were just top notch. I mean, there's no taking away from that. But I was looking for something that I didn't get, and I think that's where it comes down to.
I think
there it is. That's fine.
What about you, Dino?
Funny story about Black Panther. The first time I watched Black Panther, I watched it in a cinema where they didn't project it bright enough. And the first action scene, the first action scene, I didn't see any of it.
Because that's a very dark scene.
It's a dark scene already. It's like you're wearing sunglasses. All the cars are black. Black Panther's suit is black. Like the guns were black. Everything was night. It's like you were wearing sunglasses. Everything was black. No pun intended. But like it was just like. It was I spent the first like 5 minutes of the movie just like hearing sounds and just being like I'm guessing that's cool.
And this is why, going back to my cinema preferences, you need to prioritize a really, really good cinema with a good projector, or else you're gonna miss out on stuff.
Exactly.
Like my friend missed out on Your Left in Endgame just because the beard ball speakers are garbage. He didn't hear it.
That's so
he didn't
sad.
Hear it. He didn't get that payoff.
Yeah.
So sad.
That's so
sad.
But
so
you know,
sad.
it's very common for people to miss that line because there's already so much awing and oohing and gasping while everything's happening that it's kind of hard to catch it because it's really just so it's not placed,
Fine, Mall. You're off the hook. You're off the hook this time, Mall.
Another funny story.
All right, Dean, what about you?
So,
if only Anthony Mackie learned placement like me, you would hear it.
Another funny story. In that same cinema, I watched Blade Runner 2049. That's the name of it, right? Also, fantastic movie. I love that movie a lot. So that might be, I don't know, a lot of people love that movie. But I was like listening to Hans Zimmer's score and I was like, this is so interesting. This is so new and like, I've never heard sounds like this before. I watched it again in a different cinema. Turns out the speakers got blown out. Because they were like
Hans Zimmer
like that, and it was just overmodulated for the like second half of the movie.
That's awesome.
I was like, that's so weird. He's using distortion in such an interesting way. But
beard, small cut off. Beard. Well, it's like we see you, Hans. Let us help out. Let us help your sound out.
Yeah. Okay. Unpopular opinion. From me, this is I had one. Anybody else got one that wants to go first? I had one. Yeah,
Bibo, go.
I have one.
Okay.
It's a pretty recent one, and it's just I just don't get the love for this movie at all. And it was centered on a very beloved character for many reasons, a lot of controversy around it, and a lot of opinions about it, a lot of which I don't agree with. And this is one time where I absolutely agree with the critics, because on Rotten Tomatoes, it got a pretty low rating, got a pretty low tomato score, even though the audience reaction was pretty high up. And that's Joker.
Oh, I haven't seen it.
You have? Well, I would kill to know what you think of it. You've seen it, George.
Yeah.
Okay, George, look at, dude, George, I am so glad because I'm getting you back, man. That is such I'm not going to say bad movie, but it's just so I'm going to use a word that the kids like these days. It is mid as F.
Whoa, what does that mean?
It is so trite. It's mediocre, basically. It's so trite. It's so. I'm sorry, Dean. I might spoil a bit
it's okay.
of it for
I've
you,
had
but
my
just
chance.
like I went into it fully open and being like, okay, this isn't gonna be my Joker, right? This isn't gonna be about him becoming the Joker that we know. This isn't gonna be about him becoming Batman's arch nemesis. I'm just gonna approach this as like it's its own thing. Whatever. Follow it from the germinal idea that were presented in the first 5 minutes, which are again the most important, and then see where the story takes me. Right?
Yeah.
But it's just so like basically. Here, I'll tell you the story, Dean, and this isn't even spoiling it.
Yeah.
Bad stuff happens to person over and over again, and then he lashes out.
Yeah.
That's it. That's all that happens. Like he's presented as like, mentally unstable, and they do some cinema tricks to tell that story.
Mm-hmm.
But at the end of the day, okay, Joaquin Phoenix was great. It's so hard to do what he did, be in that place, do what he did, and be watchable. And I don't mean that condescendingly. Like it's being watchable, playing a character like that is so hard.
Yeah.
I fully acknowledge that he's great. But it's just so like it was so blasé to me that like it felt like a fan's super like misguided and not nuanced at all interpretation of who the Joker is. There's the Joker that I love, as in the title of a thing as in Joker, just Joker, not the Joker, is Brian Azzarello's graphic novel, Joker. Where it's a Joker story from the perspective of a Joker henchman.
Yeah.
Who basically makes his way up the ranks and then whatever happens from there, right? There's this scene where they do something, some big climax happens, and Joker and this guy are running away from it, right? And then this guy looks back and he starts laughing at all the chaos that's happening.
Yeah.
And he starts to basically go insane, sort of, after everything that's happened. And then Joker turns around at him, looks at him in disgust, and he's like, I forget what he says, but he says like, you are so boring or something like that.
Yeah.
And he I think he shoots him there or something. Spoilers for people who haven't read Brian Azzarello's Joker. You're not going to read it anyway, whatever. But that's how I felt about that movie and everyone who loved it. It's just like, this is so boring. This is so basic. This is the most juvenile, sophomoric interpretation of such a beloved comic book villain that I just couldn't stomach all the love it got, because it was just so... Bad things happened to person, and person did bad things. That's all that happened in that movie. That's all I'll say. I can't with Joker, man.
Wow. George disagrees.
George clearly disagrees.
Yeah, because like
I'd love to hear
when I watched that movie, like I had just gotten a text about a role I really wanted to do, and I was watching it, and like I forgot about that text, and I just read the front, and that movie, I was like,
George,
I saw Joaquin Phoenix, and I was like, I can do that, man, I can do that. Look, I think your like response to it was way more like negative than mine was to Black Panther. That's for sure.
Definitely.
Because like you just like called me boring essentially. I'm just joking. I know what you meant with it, and I think this is a discussion that I actually vaguely remember having with you before. That
really? I don't think we've ever.
We have, because we got to the point where I believe you talked to me about, like, especially at the end when he was on like Maury. And he was his mannerisms. We agreed on like that. It kind of got to the point where it was less Joker and more. It was just not the Joker we knew, right? And especially from the comics, and it even went a little bit into the flamboyant side of like the portrayal with Joaquin. But I respect your opinions, dude. I don't think people who thought that his performance was good or the movie was good are necessarily blasé or boring. I think that it was a very, very... The shoes were so big to fill with like Heath that to come in and put a performance like that was really quite and this is from my perspective where I'm just watching it, it was really quite harrowing for me. Like a lot of his choices, the laugh he worked on, wow, are you gonna hate on the laugh too, dude? Like that was a good one. It was because that's like what people in Joker like work toward, right? Like that like Joker laugh, like that's like how does this unique to me type of thing.
Sorry,
totally get what you're saying though.
Just I guess just to bring it back a bit, and this is the real reason I didn't like it. There wasn't any hope in that movie. How are you gonna care about all his despair if he has no hope? Like that's what I mean by trite, in that it was all negative stimuli for this guy. Mm-hmm. What do you expect is gonna happen? There's gotta be at least that little kernel of like, I'm gonna that makes you root for him and attach to him, and that, oh no, if this went right, he could have not gone this way. Mm. That was never in this movie at all, ever. And I challenge anyone to present me with a way that movie made him in the least bit sympathetic, or made you not necessarily root for him, but like have some sort of attachment to this guy, because there was no hope. There was no other way the story was going to end. Why even watch it? You know what I mean? That's kind of where I stand on it.
For me, you watch it not... And because like when it comes to what you're looking for in a Joker, I think you put it really, really well. And especially with what you were expecting and how he represented Joker and what you were looking for. And I think your points came across very, very good. Like, I mean, of course, like in the performative nature of it, right? Like, you know, I mean, we can always play out the like, I'm not boring, Bibo, but but you know, I think like why it's just for me the like his transformation into it. For me, that's what made it worth watching as an acting piece. I thought that like from there, like, and maybe that's part of my what I talked about earlier about sort of having that curse of watching it from that lens. Sometimes to a degree, if a performance really is transformative or takes you to another level, right? Like my God, like Jared Leto's Joker. Wow, like what a performance! It just like blew me away. I'm just joking. Sorry, he was just so damaged. He was so damaged.
So damaged. In case you didn't know,
he was so damaged. No, but yeah. So I think I got carried with that. I haven't seen it in a while, and I'd love actually, just like you said, I'd love to get Dean's opinion on it.
I saw it twice. I saw it like the very next night, just to see. Like I felt so bothered by how it didn't move me. It didn't, lift me up to that place where we all hope the movies that we care about before the fact bring us, right? I was so bothered. I was like, I gotta see it again, second time, and it just made me dislike it.
I think if I was to best like kind of put in context of like what you might have been like looking for in terms of that hope and how to best understand it or explain it, I feel like the thing Joker was lacking, that's something that a movie that dark and grim and like at times makes you want to just be like, damn, watching this is kind of taxing because it's heavy. I think the perfect example of a movie that pulled that off to the absolute degree that you could hope to ever pull it off, that until this day, I've only seen it once because of remembering how I felt watching it, but it's still in the top echelon of like comic book movies for me ever, is Logan, right? Like Logan absolutely drew that, like crossed that line of like, it so on its surface, it's tough to watch. It really, on its surface, doesn't present you with a lot of hope, but really had that small enough of a glimmer that you know why you watched when you got to the end, right? So I feel like
what's like that for me? Something that is so grim and so dark and just so intense and so dour by the end, and I've only seen once because of that, but does it well, is like a Black Swan. It takes you, I feel like Black Swan is what Joker was trying to be and failed at.
Sorry, I'm not sure if you saw it. I just, my body just like curled because I just
because remembering.
I think of the scene. Oh my God, balls in, body jumped. Oh my God, dude! Like just like whoop right in there, dude. Oh my God, they're up there now.
Woo! Anyway, you know what?
Black Swan.
With how, as is per usual, it seems at this point we're running up against it. So, Dean, the floor is yours for the rest of the episode. Then I'll take it home.
Okay.
What is your unpopular movie opinion?
Before I get to my actual unpopular opinion, which, Bibo, you're going to hate it so much because I just...
I know
for a fact. I know for a fact that you like this movie.
This is the episode where we fight.
But... before we go into that, I want to ask you guys about a very controversial movie opinion in general, and that is Martin Scorsese, since we're talking about Joker. Martin Scorsese's claim that the MCU is not cinema. Have you guys heard about that?
He compared it to theme parks.
Marvel, that's not cinema.
I think based on his like addendum to that, it makes perfect sense. I mean, you can't, you can't deny that it's like there's a template, and we shamelessly eat it all up. Yeah. Right?
Yeah.
And I guess what he means is like he clarified it, right? Cinema always needs to challenge things and be new and have fresh ideas by the very nature of its source material. The MCU is never going to be that, except in small, very like pointed ways within the structure that it's established,
like Captain Marvel.
So, yeah, pretty much.
Well, that's not really a controversial opinion, right?
It's just not good. Let's just say it's not good.
I will say that
doesn't mean Brie Larson's not a great actress. It's not good.
It's not about Brie Larson.
That out of the three of us, I actually enjoyed it, and you guys know this. I did enjoy it.
Probably the most, I'd say. Yeah.
Yeah. So
I had so many conversations with Dean about Captain Marvel. I'm not even gonna get into it. My only thing I'm gonna leave it with here is don't cheapen Nick Fury, dude.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with that. I totally
like they cheapened his story with it, and it just felt like so needless to do.
So, what I will say about Martin Scorsese, which it's gonna piss a lot of people off, is at least Marvel movies have good continuity. Glass houses, bitch. That's my really controversial thing to say. Because now look, Martin Scorsese is fantastic actor's director, right? Every single movie that he makes has phenomenal acting in it. He sacrifices not everything else, because his movies are still technically very good, but he definitely sacrifices continuity. And as somebody who's been on set, I can totally understand why. I can totally understand how that happens, right? But you also have to acknowledge that technically your movies have a very big flaw over and over again, that it keeps happening, and that, you know, we all understand that subjectively you prefer, you know, having the excellent acting, the best takes from everybody. But you can't deny that for some people that completely throws immersion out the window, and acting doesn't really matter if you're not really immersed into the story. I don't know. That's just one opinion. And by the way, with all these opinions, and especially this opinion that I'm about to share, I'm a very open-minded guy. So if there are people, I'm not one of those people is like your opinion is like, this is my opinion, it's final, you know, everybody who doesn't have my opinion is stupid. That's not. If you have something that I could change my mind later down the line. I've changed my mind about a lot of things and a lot of movies, but that's my very controversial take on Martin Scorsese. Glass houses, bitch. That's all I'll say. But
I mean, the amount of times that you see this into this, into this, back.
I didn't even know that.
Front.
I'll admit back. I haven't seen enough Scorsese movies to know that, but I get it.
And I've worked with Dean on set, and the amount that his family puts into like the robotics of an actor really teaches you. You know, not a lot of actors are familiar with the robotics of their performance. You know, I mean, down to something as simple as, it's not about the choice you're making. It's about the consistency of the choice you're making. If you keep making different choices in every take, you're going to give editing a hell of a time.
Yeah. And it's all about, you know, and that's another thing, is that I think the three of us, because we have a theater background, you know, there's also the very controversial topic of method acting, and how much merit does that have to the immersion that one feels when watching a movie. Now, look, some of my favorite actors working today are method actors. John Bernthal is one of my favorite actors. He's a method actor. But when you're really, really method, you can't do things like robotics, stuff that we as theater, you know, actors need in order for productions to
get built.
To function. So there's a great amount of respect I have for actors who are just phenomenal every take, not just in their best take, and not just in the takes where maybe the continuity is. That's all I'll say. But anyway, that's also very controversial.
For those of you at home, I think I'm just going to really quickly explain. For those of you at home, just to really quickly go through, you know, the difference. And the slightest difference, especially when you're shooting, and if you're an aspiring actor, or say one of our homies in the theater industry who kind of is looking to get smaller parts or work their way up into productions in film or TV, just be very aware. The difference between saying Bibo and Dean are great guys to Bibo and Dean are great guys, and to make sure from every angle you get that camera on Bibo and Dean are great guys. You know, I mean, that exact, like, being aware of what you're doing during which piece of your dialogue, that is the difference that an editor will remember when they're in the editing room being like, look at this guy. He is so easy to edit. every take. He has that consistency, and it makes the world of difference for how the flow of the movie goes. And so
but not just that. Is that you might ruin somebody else's best take. That's the thing. That's the real
so true
problem.
So true.
And for me, when I watch a Scorsese film, like for example, let's say Shutter Island, fantastic performances in Shutter Island. I laughed out loud at some of the most,
egregious.
At some of the most like emotional sequences, at some of the biggest revelations, because I saw a continuity mistake. You know what I mean? And I understand that not everybody will be able to spot it, and I understand that a lot of people would be able to get over such things. But it's just something to consider. Now, onto
quick sidebar. Go. As a talent, as an on-camera talent, sometimes I'm like, it concerns me. Not to say that I have the same degree of awareness or ability for it as you guys, but like sometimes I'm like, are you sure you don't want to? Because I did this last take. Do you not want me to do that again? Okay, never mind then. I'll shut up. Actor, shut up. Never mind.
Anyway. It's good that you keep track of those kinds of things. And to be fair, it could be that they preferred the take. They just don't want to tell you. Yeah. Or they preferred the take where you didn't do that thing, or maybe
but like we're collaborators, man.
Yeah, exactly.
You gotta work with me here.
Anyway. Yeah, no, exactly. But it's good that you do remember those things.
Yeah, Bibo, really you would have been fine. I mean, like if we filmed your blueberry beat from Waitress.
Here we go.
If we filmed
if
we filmed your blueberry beat from Waitress, Bibo, this was meticulous. And this is gonna merit its own episode, but in Waitress when he played Dr. Pomander, there's a moment where he's a really intimate scene of him and of course the lead actress, and he played against Joanna Ampil. And they're baking a pie together and it's really sweet, and the prop was there were blueberries because you make blueberry pies, and he just had this beat where every time I would come up to make sure I saw, because I played a monster of an ogre of a character, so I love to get in that moment and stay. I wasn't really with the cast. I was just like my ogre, like I'm internalizing. But I'd come up to watch Bibo do his blueberry beat, because every time on the money, he'd just get his blueberry, look at it, then he'd smell it, and he'd put it down. And I was just like, nice. Every time he'd finish, be like, nice, dude.
Don't forget, I love what's the line, Bibo?
Blueberries.
Yeah, it's just like it's a blueberry.
I don't remember.
It's just the way you said it. Blueberries. Every single time, the same note.
I don't think that's the line. I think George just imprinted on me. Yeah, I forget. I don't remember.
I think it's I love blueberries.
And I love blueberries.
It's I love blueberries.
Yes. He just smells it, just like really happy. Like, I love blueberries. You would have been so easy to edit, Bibo. If that was, you would have been like a masterclass of editing actors for that line.
How will the audience know?
Yeah.
How much I love blueberries. I don't sniff one. Just
could have done anything. He could have done like, please, I love blueberries. I love blueberries. I love blueberries. Nope.
Dean, your unpopular movie opinion.
My unpopular movie opinion. Oh my God, Bibo, you're gonna hate this. Are you ready?
Yes, let's go.
Not ready at all. I am 0% ready.
Okay, so I've never. I watched the Tekken movie and I didn't walk out of this movie. Okay, it was terrible, and I love Tekken.
I walked out of the Tekken movie. Wow.
I should have walked out on the Tekken movie.
I walked right out of there.
I should have walked out on a lot of movies, and I don't know why. This movie isn't as bad as that movie, obviously, but there was something about it that made me want to walk out, and it is Aquaman. I'm sorry, people.
No. Really? I'm excited now. Go ahead.
Interesting.
I like it, but Garrett,
because I thought you were going to walk out. I thought you were going to stray.
No. I don't love that. That just means I don't love Aquaman as much as I love Black Panther. So, Dean, please.
Because so Aquaman, there's, again, just like George with Black Panther, there are some parts of the movie that I really respect. One thing that I respect is that they didn't try and make the character any less corny. They were not ashamed of Aquaman. That is so important, I think. Like, you know what I mean?
Sorry, I'm laughing because, like, I feel like I know what's coming because... Oh, please continue. I know what you're gonna comment on, and I'm waiting for it. I'm so ready because
So, he can speak to fish. You know what I mean? That was they embraced that as a huge part of like the finale, and I'm really glad that were not ashamed of the character Aquaman, like so many other comic book movies were ashamed of their characters. Like Fant4stic was ashamed so much of the fact that it begrudgingly had to be a Fantastic Four movie. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But there were some performances in this movie. There were some performances in this movie where I was just like, are you fucking serious? Like with that line read? Okay, so another thing that I should say is that James Wan, very hit and miss for me. I love The Conjuring, the 2 Conjuring movies that he did. I even like this movie that didn't get very good reviews. What's it called? It's about ventriloquist dummies. Deadly Silence, something like that. He did a movie right after Saw, right? And it was called Dead Silence or something. I actually genuinely liked that movie, and a lot of critics didn't. But he's very hit and miss, in my opinion. And one of the things that he's very hit and miss with is performances, especially the performance of secondary characters, right? I feel like that's one thing that he maybe breezes through us. And of course, I don't know his process, and I respect any director who has ever, put their heart out there and like actually done a film, because Jesus, that is really difficult work. But I feel that I'm being really nice, but what I'm trying to say is some of the performances in that movie made me nearly laugh out loud. Not nearly, made me laugh out loud. Okay, so I love Willem Dafoe as an actor. He was fucking asleep in that movie. I love Willem Dafoe as an actor.
You were gonna say that? Oh my god.
He was asleep.
I was just like, he's gonna say Willem Dafoe. He's gonna say.
He was asleep. Oh my god. It's like in that. I get what they were going for. You know, he wanted to underact in some sequences, but it's like I told him I would protect him. I told her I would protect him. My god, that read was just dead. He was like eyeing the catering tray. Like, I'm serious. Dolph Lundgren as well. Dolph Lundgren's a fucking fantastic actor. A lot of people don't realize that because they know him from like Masters of the Universe, but like he's a fantastic actor. He was taking the piss, and sorry, it's like I really love, like he was taking the piss. He was just like, his whole performance, he had this like, I can't do it, but he had this sort of like grimace on his face, and it was just like, wow. Patrick Wilson was good, but I also maintain that he was also sort of taking the piss with that performance because he was loving it, and he was chewing the furniture, and I think that
he totally was.
His enjoyment in that role really came through and actually made the villain quite good, in my opinion. But like, then there's this one, like, I'm so sorry to do this to possibly a new actor or possibly an upcoming actor, but oh my god, Teenage Aquaman.
Oh
my god, Teenage Aquaman was so terrible. Like, every single thing he said, it's like, where did they find you? Was there any audition process? Like, I'm so sorry if this actor, is like, oh my god, that was my big break and all
He's
that.
gotten it though. There are these memes of like, because a lot of the younger versions of the DC superheroes were great, except for him, and they lined them up, and they're like, not this guy, not this one.
No,
that's so funny because I thought I was the only one who spotted that, because like, wow, he was really just like, he was not wooden, he was wood. He was fucking Nara wood, man. Like,
no, they definitely got him the same casting agency that they use in Korea to find their American actors. For sure.
Yes, I've heard about that. I haven't seen Squid Game, but I heard about that.
Dean, please, before anything, sorry, we'll get back to Aquaman, but before anything, I need you to watch Squid Game just so you can get to that part. Because my goodness. Oh my god.
I feel so bad. I feel so bad because, like, Dean, you've worked with actors like this. In Kazon's game, we have our favorite actor. I won't say his name, but
exactly.
We have our favorite actor that's like this. Imagine a room filled with him.
For real. And Dean, I've told you about your favorite actor, and I will legitimately say it's absolutely 100% that. A room full of that dude. Or lady.
I've heard the same thing from multiple people. They were like, you know who this reminds me of? Like, people have reached out and said that. So funny.
I'm so evil. Fuck.
No, you know what? I feel bad though, because to bring it to the actors that got really shit on, there was one guy that I felt so bad for because he really takes his acting career very seriously. And he has depression and stuff. So when he was just so excited Squid Game was doing well, and then he saw his reviews of those scenes, and I felt so bad reading it. He was like, I just want to work on myself. And I was like, no. Yeah. Because, like, you know, like, and I'll give it to them this way. No actor worth his salt can ever put out a good performance without working with a great director who can bring it out in you, and working with an acting coach who can bring it out of you. Leonardo DiCaprio, Timothée Chalamet, they work with acting coaches for weeks to do every single beat.
Yeah.
So when you have a Korean director who's focused on the Korean dialogue, and you're making these like first acting choices that are off the walls as an American, but you're sounding American, he'll be like, "Oh, sounds American to me," and then move on. And you know, that's so it's just so different. I know,
it's just so bad.
I know why it's bad. You know, I mean, it just feels bad.
Yeah, I know. It's like whenever we shit on actors, I don't know if we have to censor that, sorry. But whenever we...
No, we don't. It's fine.
Yeah.
Whenever we beard on actors.
Whenever we beard on actors, we always have to say, like, look, it's not necessarily the actor's fault or the director's fault. There's so many different things that go into making a good performance, as we know. And
100%.
It really sucks when you're stuck in a production, or where you're stuck immortalized on film, and you know that, and we've all been in that situation where we know this is not the performance that we think we would enjoy watching, but we have to do it anyway for whatever reason, be it logistical, be it the director, be it the material, or whatever. So whenever we shit on actors, it's not like if ever anybody watches that knowing that, hey, this was my big thing, keep going, keep trying, because, and this is turning into a motivational podcast, because it's not necessarily your fault or anybody's fault that a performance is bad. And if we're laughing at it, it's just because it is funny when things go wrong.
Yeah,
like
unfortunately, when the cocktail comes together and you have a bad drink, you know, I mean, you're gonna think of the drink as a whole, and unfortunately, the actor is the name of the drink that you'll remember. But like, just to put it in perspective, the difference between a good acting coach and a good actor's director is Millie Bobby Brown in Stranger Things versus Millie Bobby Brown in Godzilla. You know, I mean, it's two completely different worlds. Millie Bobby Brown in Godzilla was basically Emma Watson in the Harry Potter movies. Like, I don't know how else to put it, you know.
Right. We got 7 minutes. Dean, finish shitting on Aquaman.
man.
Yeah,
go.
That's my thing. It was just the performances. The story. Okay, there are so many better versions of that story. The story between Aquaman and Orm. My God, how epic it could have been. The Justice League did it amazingly. The animated series. Could have been so epic. I didn't mind that they made it the tone that it was. I didn't mind. I really respect. I didn't even mind that they wasted Black Manta, because I was never super attached to Black Manta. I know a lot of people are, but that's something that I couldn't pull from. All it was that a lot of the performances seemed borderline insulting for the budget, for the, you know what I mean, for the movie that this was supposed to be, and also some of the music choices as well. That I couldn't.
Oh yeah, well, yeah, we know the notorious one.
Yeah, that one made me retch a little bit, but like, but just that, and I've seen movies with like music. I have a very, very, very specific taste in music, so I've seen lots of movies with music that I personally didn't enjoy. It wasn't that for me. It was something about the performances, and I remember the moment where I was like, if I was just watching this alone, not with my family, I would have probably gotten up. It's this moment, that moment, you know, from the trailers and all the stuff where he's training young Aquaman, where Willem Dafoe is training young Aquaman in the middle of the movie. It's about an hour in, and both of them were just like, I'm like, can someone please fucking try for me? Like, that's all. That's my
I love hearing that though. So basically what you're saying is James Wan is the anti-Martin Scorsese.
In a way. Well, like, I mean, they're so different. I don't know if there are two more different directors, but like, definitely performance for me but like the performances in the Conjuring movies are really good, like all of them consistently.
Oh, okay.
So I don't know what it was. And it could have been just like time constraints or somebody at the top who thought he knew what he was doing, and you know, it could have been any number of things.
Speaking of Willem Dafoe as Volko.
Yeah.
When we finally saw his performance in Zack Snyder's Justice League, it was great.
Yeah, actually.
In the same role.
Yeah, which was really weird.
He was like, pick up your mother's trident. And I was like, Arthur, you better pick up your mother's trident.
Yeah, I know. He had that gravitas that he usually has. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Which is interesting to me because, you know, I mean, I wouldn't put Zack Snyder as my top choice for an actor's director.
Yeah.
Exactly, yeah.
I wouldn't even have it in my...
Absolutely.
He's more on the other side of that spectrum because he's just such a visual, like, artist and master, you know, that... the acting choices get lost. You know, I mean, I always remember was the scene in Justice League that just the dead eyes, or was it Batman v Superman, the dead eyes of the people like reaching out to
that would be
just like, what is going on here? Like, you know, I mean, it's exactly.
For me, I've always thought of Zack Snyder as somebody who thinks of movies as a series of still images, and I really respect how he achieves that, because wow, he achieves it. It's just a lot of other things that a lot of people, you know, also find more important than that. And, you know, I love Man of Steel. I love a lot of his movies. But a lot of people really prioritize a lot of other things other than the visual storytelling as, you know, how you would see it as a series of still images. But
I think the guy who does a good middle ground of Zack Snyder's visual gravitas, I mean, not to the degree Zack Snyder has it, because you have to give Zack Snyder that, like it feels like you're flipping through a comic book if you just pause stills of his movie, right? And that's something that you can't take away from him. It's amazing. But one of my favorites in terms of who gets that and accomplishes that while really getting the exact performances out of the actors that he wants is James Gunn. I think James Gunn does that so damn well.
Definitely.
I was surprised how visually amazing
the Suicide Squad was. Yeah. Oh, yeah. And that's, for me, it's like, I was watching and I was thinking, man, this must be like in Zack Snyder's head how he thinks the movie's going to come out when it's all said and done. Yeah. But the performances just don't kind of add up to his visuals, you know. And I think like that's why like Zack Snyder would just be the type of director that needs a really strong acting coach who can kind of work with him to be like, hey, you know what? Let me take care of the actors. Let me make sure they're all doing what we want for your vision, and you know, I mean, for whatever that works out to be.
Yeah. And on that note, my goal for this episode was to finally get it under 45 minutes, and I have failed, as we all have.
We've all failed.
I'm gonna say it at this point. This is an hour podcast. I don't even care anymore.
I think that's a safe bet.
Where we accept we can't do it. We have too much fun.
Let's say this though: the first host who manages to pull off a 45-minute episode gets a treat. How does that sound?
Let's do it. Okay, you know what? We have Zoom's telling us we have less than 1 minute. Those were our unpopular movie opinions. I loved hearing your guys's. I loved arguing with you guys as much as I love just spreading the love for all things. So if you enjoyed this was our 4th episode. I'm very proud that we've come this far, as short as it is. So thank you so much for watching. Like and subscribe if you are so inclined. Thank you so much. We will see you next week. Peace.